What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Yankees Avenue Show on the Yankees Avenue YouTube channel. As usual, I'm Patrick Hennessy. That's Dan Rourke. Dan, how we doing on this Valentine's Day, Tuesday episode of the Yankees Avenue Show?
Pat, love is a great thing. I just think it's very upsetting that you don't love the Yankees. You hate them. What's good with that, bro?
Yeah, okay. First of all, let's address this real quick. All the comments last episode, oh, Pat hates the Yankees. Okay, I don't hate the Yankees. I love the Yankees. I love watching the regular season. I love the 2023 season. I'm excited for this year. Super Bowl's done. Yankee time. Let's go. Let's get to topic number one here. Nestor Cortes was announced out of the World Baseball Classic due to a strained grade 2 strain of his left hamstring, right hamstring. Which one is it?
Right hamstring.
Right hamstring. Listen, we saw Nestor's interview where he was kind of talking about how he's not going to be partaking in it anymore. For me, I'm not completely distraught. I think it's disappointing that we're not going to see Nestor in the WBC. One, because that's a huge loss for Team USA, right? And also just because I don't know, like,
what was that?
dropped a bottle of water on the floor.
Oh.
But and two, it's disappointing for me because I want to see a Yankee pitch in the WBC, right? And I know, like, now with the injury concerns, whatever, but are you concerned about this injury for Nestor going into the Yankees season now, putting the WBC to the side?
Dude, I really wasn't this morning when it first broke, which at first I didn't even know if it was real because just MLB Network was reporting on it for like a good 20 minutes. So I'm like, yo, what's good? But then, yeah, I think Ken Rosenthal later confirmed that, yeah, the right hamstring, and it's a grade 2, man, which that's what has me a little more concerned because at first Nestor described it as a little tweak, I believe. Tweak in a grade 2. I know it's a low grade 2, but kind of, two different things there. He says he's going to be ready for the season, so that is good. But I will say, once we haven't had one spring training game yet, and we're already looking at, we know Frankie Montas is going to miss a month. And now with Nestor, where his legs have kind of been a problem for him over this last year or so, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit concerned, not panicking. The sky isn't falling, obviously, or anything like that. But he's not going to pitch for a couple of weeks. I would say I don't think he's a lock for the start of the season, to be honest. So with that being the case, yeah. Little concerned.
Yeah. I would say it's a little bit of a problem. At first, when I heard that, like, he wasn't going to be playing the WBC anymore, the first thing that popped in my mind was like phantom injury. Cashman just doesn't want him risking any more injury problems in the WBC. But now, since we're kind of hearing grade 2 hamstring strain, now it's kind of like, okay, maybe it's real, right? Because last season, I know towards the end of the season, Nestor went on the IL with, I believe it was the groin injury, right?
Yes, it was. It was.
And
the
then
left
in the
groin.
postseason, we saw he re-aggravated, I believe, the same injury. I could be wrong. And then that kind of proved that it wasn't phantom injury. So I guess this one isn't phantom, but yeah, I would say I'm pretty concerned about Nestor going into the season just because, I mean, we went from looking at a rotation of being completely deadly, right, with Domingo Germán as your number 6, and now we're probably going into the season with Domingo Germán, number 0, Domingo Germán.
Yeah, dude, what's good with that?
As the number 4 starter, which is, it's not horrible, but it's not what we expected, right?
One thing it has me wondering in my head, kind of like a theoretical question. If we were to say go into October with 3 of our first 4 pitchers healthy, so Cole, Rodon, Nestor, Sevy, if you could pick 3 out of those 4, who would it be? The obvious first 2 you want, Cole and Rodon, but between Sevy and between Nestor, gun to your head, have to pick. Who would you rather be healthy for a Yankee playoff run?
I mean, I'll say Sevy.
I think so too, which
yeah,
some might be confusing to some people, but I have Sevy having the better year this year and just overall stuff wise and like being a dog. Nothing against Nestor whatsoever, but if Sevy's on going into the playoffs, we still haven't fully seen. I mean, he's pitched well. He had a good game last year in Cleveland overall, and against Houston, I thought he pitched pretty well too. But like the upside of Sevy is as good as Rodon and Cole. I don't see that being the case with Nestor, although he's very good and I think he's capable of repeating what he did last year.
I will say, like, regarding debate between those two, I think that while Sevy's ceiling is higher, I also think his floor is lower. So there's definitely that there. I think that a Sevy implosion can be much worse than a Nestor implosion because I feel like this year's postseason, we kind of saw the worst of Nestor, right? He didn't really pitch his A game, but he still kind of got by and he got out.
Right, yeah.
So
I think it's also because
Sevy doesn't have his A game, it could be like a 2017 wild card situation where he can't even make it out of the first. So that's kind of why I lean more towards Sevy because the high is higher, but also the ceiling's lower. So, I mean, the floor is lower. So
I can get behind that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to topic number 2 here. It was announced on Sunday evening prior to the Super Bowl that Derek Jeter will be joining David Ortiz and A-Rod in the Fox studio as an analyst. Do we know if he's also going to be in the broadcast booth at all as
So
well?
I was wondering that question myself. I read multiple articles. Apparently, it's just in studios. So essentially, pregame, postgame
Okay.
analyst.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's interesting for sure because this is a debate that we had. I
Yeah.
want to say like a month ago at this point, whether or not we wanted him with yes. Now it's announced he's with Fox. How you feeling about it?
First of all, I'm very interested to see, and this goes with Tom Brady as well, because I know he's not starting it this year, but next year he has like his 10-year deal with what, like NBC or one
Yeah,
of the
like
football channels.
375 mil.
Absolutely
I think
insane.
Fox.
Or is it Fox? Yeah.
I think
So
so.
same question I'm wondering about with Brady and with Jeter is like, just because these guys were good doesn't mean they're going to be good on-air communicators, right? Now, I'm not worried about Jeter because he's just so calm, cool, and collected that I think he'll be able to handle himself fine. So just fine. Obviously knows the game of baseball, so it won't be a problem there. But I do wonder because he's not a baseball savant like say A-Rod is. A-Rod's obsessed with the game. Even when he was playing, he was watching when he came home from his own. Jeter, on the other hand, not exactly. Like he said it himself when he retired, until he was CEO of the Marlins, he didn't watch, I don't think, one game. So not that he won't put the effort. And I think, he'll get into it. I think we'll have a good time with it. I'm just very curious if like what his, I guess, angle would be. Like, do we hear, I think we might get a different Jeter than we're expecting. It might be a little bit different to have an on-camera Jeter. That's officially his job title than the guy we may have seen like in interviews after a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm really intrigued as to what Jeter we're gonna get, right? Because I think we're gonna get a totally different version that we've ever seen before. Because he kind of has to be, right? Like you can't be that boring cookie cutter, whatever, as a studio
I don't
analyst.
think
I
Jeter
mean,
is boring. I'm not with you there, but go on.
no, but I feel like those are the vibes we've kind of gotten from Jeter, like his entire career for the most part, bro. I think because he walks on eggshells because he's scared of like what the media is gonna take him as, and I think he's the media now. You know what I mean? So I don't think that there's necessarily like any concern as to how people are going to view him. There was even during that announcement on Super Bowl Sunday, there was something that Jeter said about like being politically correct or something, which I think like is basically his MO. You know what I mean? So if he kind of strays away from that and kind of just voices his authentic opinions, I'll love it. However, if it's a more like laid back, like scared to say what he wants to say, Jeter, then I think you might see like the studio isn't for him, and then you might see him move over the booth where he can be a little bit more like laid back with his opinions.
Yeah, I think the laid back thing will happen no matter what, because that's just kind of how he is. I don't believe it'll be him like coming from a place of being afraid what he might say or anything like that. I think he'll give us his opinions. And the difference with Jeter is, and this is why I don't consider him boring compared to maybe even say Aaron Judge. Jeter still has a slight more edge than a guy like Judge would. I think Judge would actually be pretty boring on TV, to be honest, if he decided to
Probably.
become an analyst after his career. Jeter, though, like I wouldn't be shocked, especially coming from say a player doesn't show effort on the field, right, or doesn't run something out. I wouldn't be shocked if you see Jeter like throw what some might consider be a dig at a player, to be honest, because he knows there's a certain way, at least to him, that you play the game. And if he sees a player not doing that, I wouldn't be shocked if we get like a kind of an outspoken Jeter that calls some players out, which that would be sick. Also, his relationship with A-Rod is interesting here as well, because they got to be, I don't want to say boys, but you're not voluntarily going to work with somebody if like you're not at least cool with them, right? And Jeter doesn't need to do this. Like he's probably just fine financially. Obviously, he's just fine financially. So that's kind of interesting too. Jeter and A-Rod, I guess, are cool.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really cool dynamic. I think it's a really cool situation. And going back to what we were debating a month ago, I think that this is a much better fit for him, especially in his first gig, than Yes Network would be. I think putting Jeter on the national stage is kind of where he belongs. And sitting him next to guys like David Ortiz and Alex Rodriguez is exactly where he belongs. I think that this Fox position is the definition of what Jeter needed getting into media, broadcast, analyst, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, dude. And talk about just getting stars. A dream come true. If you were to tell Fox 15 years ago one day, like you're gonna have a panel of Derek Jeter, Big Papi, and A-Rod,
Yeah.
like just from marketability reasons alone, like if you were to market based on stars for a post game show, you can't really get much better than that. So I'm excited, man. I really am. I think they should get him in the booth at some point though, because now that I think about it, and you brought it up, he might play better just watching game and giving his thoughts. So
Yeah,
it'll be
maybe.
interesting. It'll be interesting.
But yo, speaking about the booth, let's shift over to the Yankees network. Let's shift over to Yes real quick. And Dan, let's have some fun with this. Let's build our dream Yes booth. So let's say you could have your dream trio in the Yankees booth calling a game. Who are you going with?
Okay, so the way I'm seeing it is this: K is my number one A commentator. Love you, Ryan Rucco, but my ideal booth always going to have K in the booth. Yeah, David Cohn as well. David Cohn's always going to be in there. I think he's like top tier of any baseball analyst we have in the game today, especially when it comes to the pitching side of things. Of course, those two are like a certain. I'll have a rotating cast of just two people that I want. One we've already talked about today, and here's another one. One being Jeter, the next being Curtis Granderson. I have always thought this since the day he was a Yankee. I was like, dude, this guy, nice dude, first of all, very likable, knows a game of baseball, and he's just starting to get into the media game. I believe he was on MLB Network the past couple of years since retiring, or TBS. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's kind of in the business now. Everybody loves him. I think it's a no-brainer, to be honest. So if you could get Jeter on the Yes Network, which reminder, the Fox thing, that's what, like once a week, if that. I don't even know how often he'll be doing it. And there has been talks. I know you're not entirely about it. I think if you get Jeter on, that would be huge for Yes. So those are my two. Or K, Cone, and then a rotating little duo of Granderson and Jeter.
Yeah. So mine, I would go with Matt Vasgersian as the play-by-play guy. I still stand by this by saying that I think he's the greatest play-by-play guy of all time. Just bro, the iconic calls, just everything about him.
Don't you feel like he kind of fell off at ESPN a little bit though? Like I remember him being good with FS1.
I think he fell off by going to LA. I think being the play-by-play guy for the Angels just isn't it. And I'm sure like he likes how he has a team and now he kind of has like a frequent thing, but I liked him a lot on ESPN. Bro, him commentating the 2016 World Series, like that Rajai Davis call was the greatest call of all time. And I think that only happened because the Joe Buck feed got messed up and we had to listen to the international broadcast. That's what I believe happened.
17 ALDS too was sick against Cleveland.
Awesome, bro. Yeah. Awesome. And then I think my number 2 guy would be Ken Singleton. Bro, I love Ken Singleton. I think that his voice is just beautiful. I love listening to him talk. I wish he didn't retire, but so I'd go Matty V, Ken Singleton, and then my third guy, I would say Jeter, but I don't know what to expect from him yet, so I kind of just can't put him in my dream booth.
Fair, yeah.
So I think I'd go. I'll say A-Rod, bro, just because I know that Matty V A-Rod combo like wasn't liked by many. I was a huge fan of it, so yeah, I think if you have Matty V, A-Rod, Ken Singleton, that's my dream booth.
Yeah, and I know you brought up Matty V as your guy, but just like real world A-Rod potential going to the S booth. One, I think he's too busy, but there is the relationship between him and K because he did the K-Rod. So
sure,
that's also potentially a factor. Like they've worked together before, and I think that actually went pretty well.
We saw it at the end of the 2022 season, I believe, in the final game. Meredith Morakovitz in the booth. I'd love to see a little bit more of her because she wasn't awful, right? Especially like for her first time ever doing it. I'd love to see her maybe get a couple more reps of just like
play-by-play. She did play-by-play.
Yeah, because Michael K left for maybe about 4 innings, and she did play-by-play. And obviously, she was a little rough because I don't think she was like expecting it. But I think that I'd like to see, especially like a female presence in the booth. It would be interesting.
Yeah, it is cool too how they kind of advertise her as they should. Part of the 4, like when they're saying who's on today's broadcast, she'll always be a part of that. And you mentioned Ken Singleton. Shout out to him because 1, he's just awesome as hell. 2, he was the best like fill-in play-by-play guy. You know what I mean? Like you always had Michael K. Sometimes you have, even when Ryan Rucco, like you could put him in there as well. But if you had like say a color guy, or not color, if you had or an analyst turned play-by-play dude, no better option than with Ken Singleton. Like the "this one is gone" call. Yeah, that's up there in terms of nostalgia for me and just overall enjoyment and like describing the moment. Up there with Sia, which I love.
Bro, that reminds me of like a 2009 game in Baltimore.
Always Baltimore.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, shit, dude. 2019 game in Baltimore. I think he called the. Do you remember that game? Total random throwback here, but Clint Frazier like go ahead 3-run bomb in Baltimore in like, the 8th inning. I think Gary also like crushed a 3-run homer down the line. If this is factual information, I'll put it in the B-roll here, but. Moments like that, I'll remember Ken Singleton was on the call, and it was absolutely epic. Probably one of his last like really dope calls because when did he retire? 2019 was the last one, right? Or
2019, I think was the last
he came back though for like a semi-year. Maybe that was 2020. But yeah, shout out to you, Ken Singleton.
Yeah. Moving on, topic number 4 here. Fangraphs has begun to roll out their projections for the 2023 season, and Dan, that includes their AL East standings. And you know what? The Yankees win the AL East according to Fangraphs. However, they only have 89 wins. The Blue Jays have 88, so the Yankees only win by 1 game. The Rays are in third place with 86 wins. The Orioles are in fourth with 80, and then the Red Sox are in fifth place with 79. I think it's also important to keep in mind, like we kind of discussed this before, the Fangraphs projections are always kind of lowballed. I mean, the Astros have 90 wins, so the Yankees are only 1 win behind the Astros. So what's kind of your take on these projected standings here?
Yeah, they definitely lowball. Like the Astros being at 90, they had the highest win total projected in all of baseball. So there you go. But the top three makes total sense to me. I think you're looking at right now, I would have the gap between the Yankees and the Blue Jays to be a little bit more right now. I put them about like 4 or 5 games ahead of them, but kind of just ignoring that and looking at the order of the teams, Yankees, Blue Jays, Rays to me makes total sense. And in the end, Orioles, Sox, I guess this is the exact replica of what it was last year, right? So I'm not vehemently annoyed at this or anything. I really don't care, but I would honestly put the Red Sox ahead of the Orioles. The Orioles didn't have too good of an offseason. I think that could be, for a particular reason of maybe they don't think they're ready yet. And in a way, I kind of respect that. Like, why put all your eggs in one basket when, hey, maybe you kind of overperformed last year a little bit and you're still a year away. The Red Sox, though, kind of gotten a lot of shit this offseason, and in some way, rightfully so, losing Xander Bogaerts, and they were kind of forced into signing Rafael Devers. But, dude, I mean, they got Masataka Yoshida, who's a stud. Kenley Jansen is still pretty good. And Justin Turner's not totally washed up just yet. They also – did they get Corey Kluber?
Yeah.
Cool, yeah, and Joey Rodriguez and Chris Martin. So, I mean, the Red Sox, I think, actually had like a decent offseason, not as good as it could have been. And I would still consider them, when the season ended last year, the Orioles and the Red Sox to be pretty close. So that being the case, that the Red Sox are the better winner, I'll put them at 4th place right now. They don't concern me, though. I'm not scared at all.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think that, listen, this might be a hot take, but I think that the first 2 teams are right. I think that the Yankees win the AL East and the Blue Jays are number 2. But I think 3rd place is going to be a battle between the Orioles and the Red Sox. I have the Rays finishing last, bro. Like, which is so stupid. It's so gullible of me to assume that the Rays are finally going to be bad. But I think that the Rays are finally going to be bad, bro. There's no way they could keep doing this every season, throwing out the most random players and somehow finishing in 3rd place. It doesn't make sense to me. So my mind just has to tell me this year things are going to change, because I think that the Orioles are going to take a big step up. And also, like we've said, I think the Red Sox are kind of underrated going into the season. I think that Yankee fans kind of just like to clown them just to clown them. But you look at their lineup, it's not awful. And you look at their rotation, if healthy, it's not horrible either. I mean, Paxton is a big question mark, right? I'm pretty sure he's still under contract with them. But, I mean, their bullpen also isn't great. But we've seen the Red Sox just have awful teams and come out of nowhere and just put up like 105 wins.
Literally 2 years ago. I mean, 2021, like what were we expecting out of them? Next thing you know, they win 90 games. So for sure.
Exactly.
And
so I'm not sleeping on the Red Sox, bro.
Yeah. And talk about the Rays, man. I think, first of all, as like a collective unit, I think we should all, as like fan bases, teams of the AL East, just get together and say, fuck the Rays, and I'll just pummel the shit out of them this year and kind of let them know this don't fly, bro. We always, discount against the Rays, and they end up showing up and being either a playoff team or close to being a playoff team. Hell, 3 years ago, they went to the World Series. Insane. Yeah. But you bring it up. The Rays aren't all that good, especially because they didn't, dude, their offseason was kind of shitty, man. They only added Zach Eflin, nice pitcher was kind of a weird, like 3-year deal, right? And then they lost Ryan Yarborough, good relief pitcher. Corey Kluber, who was actually, I think, pretty solid for them last year. Mike Zunino, David Peralta, and Kevin Kiermaier, who we've seen for quite some time with them. So, yeah, man, the Rays, I'm not going to go there, but I like that pick. And kind of like, in a way, bro, I like the idea of just like, fuck what happens every single year. This team should not be good. And shit, bro, you kind of persuaded now. I'm not going to pick them last place, but I could see that happening.
Yeah, no, it's definitely possible. Because, I mean, you look at like those other 3 remaining teams, I feel like anybody could finish anywhere, just to be honest with you. So,
yeah, and in a way, quick little last thought, and they haven't won the World Series, so I wonder if the last 5 or 6 years is really been all that beneficial for them, where they have, gone in the playoffs, proves they can do it in a different formula, but kind of seems like what's their main goal right now, getting a new stadium. I almost feel like if they had bottomed out, which I'm not encouraging this by any means, like I like the fact that they're a respectable, good winning team from a small market. But like at some point, I feel like they just gotta just blow it up, the Rays, and see what happens.
Yeah,
because their draft picks are never great, and they don't spend a lot in the international draft, I don't believe either. So yeah, whatever.
They always win though.
The Rays Avenue Show this has turned into.
But moving on, topic number 5, Dan. Topic number 5 is always fun because we got fan questions. The Yankees Avenue Show at gmail.com. Submit your questions. We're going to answer a few. But before we get into those, there's a question I want to ask you. And Dan, it's Valentine's Day, right? It's the holiday of love, I guess you could call it. Not a huge fan, but dude, let's just say the best and worst Valentines from the Yankees. Like, let's just say the best Valentine's Day date and the worst.
All right, can I ask you to go first because I have an answer,
Sure.
but I have two that I need to decipher in my head. So you go first. Maybe
Yeah.
you'll pick one of the ones I'm thinking.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say worst. DJ LeMahieu.
That's
Maybe this is
good.
just like me pissing on DJ, but I think that he just has no personality. I don't know the dude, right? I'd love to get to know him and maybe see if he has personality. But I'm thinking like, bro, we're sitting across from each other at like Texas Roadhouse, and like he has like a button-down plaid shirt on. He says 2 words the whole night. So I can't really see that going too well. However, the best, I want to say Harrison Bader, bro. I feel like Bader would go like all out, right? Like he's picking you up, he's giving you flowers. You're going to like 5-star dining. It's going to be a great night. On the drive home, you're like blasting good music. Harrison Bader, I think he can take someone out on a great date.
The Bader one kind of shocks me a little bit. I guess I don't know enough about him just yet, but
He's just cool.
no, he's dope as shit. I mean, just in general, he's a good ass looking dude. Some say I look like him, no big deal. But yo, for worst, I'm gonna go with Glaber because dude's kind of got trust issues, man. Like you do one little thing, next thing you know, he thinks you're dumping him off and you're never gonna see him again. And then he starts acting like a dickhead for the whole month after that, you know?
That's so good.
You know, kind of like a rock relationship right there, I would feel like. But for best, all right, I wasn't cliche at all for the worst, so I don't feel bad doing this. I mean, Judge is fucking rich now, man. And he's a great guy. He's a good looking dude. And even if he doesn't treat you right, he could be the most fucking, I don't know, biggest dickhead in the world.
He's loyal.
Just
so you know it's not just like
if you treat him fairly, he'll be loyal. And also, dude, just walking around with Aaron Judge, like that's enough clout in itself to where like he doesn't even have to treat you right, and you're still kind of getting your reward. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'll go Glaber for the worst, Judge for the best. And do you like my little pink hearts that are on the thing?
I think it's beautiful.
I don't actually know what the graphic looks like just yet, but some sort of a romantic theme.
I suggested it, by the way. So just
you did. I honestly, yeah. When Pat asked about, doing a thing for Valentine's Day, I responded by asking if we should do something for Arbor Day, which is like Earth Day or whatever. But yeah, no, shout out to you. We'll do something for St. Patrick's Day next, right?
Yeah, love it. But yo, this question is from Brendan. Shout out to Brendan. He says, who are you guys most looking forward to in spring training other than Volpe or Peraza? He says for him, it's Austin Wells.
We also got to mention Jason Dominguez, and this may have been after Brendan sent this question and it came out, but Jason Dominguez is going to be in camp. So that's an obvious one right there. I won't go with him. But real quick, Rafael Ortega, not like I'm too excited for him or anything, but just the fact
by the way, sorry. Are we like only saying guys that aren't going to be on the major league roster?
I figure kind of like under the radar guy.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, do whatever you want. Just like don't say like Judge. I feel like. Yeah.
Sure.
Is this part of the show?
Yeah.
Okay. Word. Anyways, Rafael Ortega, we all know 2021 had a 130 OPS plus with the Cubs. He, I guess you could say, might compete for the left field job. So just from that alone, not being like a standout candidate, but somebody that I guess is in the competition for it. Rafael Ortega, I think, could be interesting.
Yeah, I got 2, but I guess I'll lean with 1. My guy, Aaron Hicks, bro. We talked about this ad nauseum at this point. I'm so intrigued by Aaron Hicks going into the season. I want to see him do well. And if he has a great spring, that's just going to keep vibes so high going into the season. And then honorable mentions Josh Donaldson, because I think he's in the same boat. I think if either one of them has a massive spring, I think it changes the entire mentality of our minds going into
Actually, I don't want Donaldson to have a massive spring. I just thought about.
Okay.
To me, that guarantees he's going to be shit in the regular season. I don't know what it is. It's like a little bad omen or something like that. It's kind of on the same vibes as Kyle Higashioka last year, although totally different circumstances. I'm not actually making a connection here, but it's in the back of my brain.
All right, Dan, this one isn't necessarily a viewer question, but it's a tweet I saw on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, and I thought it was pretty interesting, so I figured we'd bring it up. This is from Des, and she said, what sport do you most associate with America / being American? And the 3 options were baseball, basketball, football. Personally, I guess I'll give my take first. I'm putting my baseball bias aside with this one, right? I think the clear answer here is football, and my logic behind it is this. One, it's a sport that really is only popular in America. I mean, you look at baseball, it's popular in South America, it's popular in Asia, it's popular elsewhere. Football is kind of only an American thing. The Super Bowl is basically an American holiday, and also a heavy majority compared to baseball and even basketball. The players who play in the NFL heavy majority of them are born in the United States compared to other sports. So I think football is by far America's sport.
Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree necessarily, but I'll still go baseball just because it's for the longest time and really not all that long ago was in a way like the face of our country, not just with sports, but like you talk about like typical things that go with America. What do they always say? Like what was that old Chevy commercial? Baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet or something like that. I just think things that go hand in hand. You look at America, if you were to do one of those like little puzzles where you match things that go together, I still look at baseball before football with like the history
Even in
ties.
2023.
It's definitely like I ain't gonna like go to my grave with this, but
Because, I mean, 1950, 100% baseball, right? But 2023, I mean, bro, numbers don't lie, right? Like football destroys MLB in
oh, I mean
ratings.
that's for sure. I mean, I don't think that really matters anyways because they play once a week. But I
But
mean,
still, I mean,
they're not necessarily comparative. Without a doubt, though, football is more popular than baseball. I'm not going to dispute that. But just from no, I guess I don't really got an argument. Yeah, it's football. It's football. I still look at it as baseball, but like for the whole country, yeah, no, it's
yeah,
football.
I mean, yeah. But yeah,
Was that the
I think that's
question?
it.
I sorry, that was like a shout out Des, by the way.
Yeah, shout out.
But I don't really have a good answer for that, I guess. Yo, that'll do it for this one. Quick announcement, by the way. We're gonna be starting up because pitchers and catchers report on Wednesday, or is it Thursday? Wednesday or Thursday. Friday's episode is going to be our first episode with like a player profile, some sort of like preview. We won't be doing like the whole episode on it, but at least one player per episode going forward will be done. So haven't figured out the order, but let's say, I don't know, question 3 or 4 will be like a projection on a certain player. We'll do it for not everybody, but like the key players. So maybe we don't give I don't know, Kyle Higashioka a full in-depth breakdown, but the main guys we will. So stay tuned for that. Also, what I was thinking about, this is news to you, but I really want to I want to compare teams as we get closer to opening day, our main threats in the rest of the league. So the same way we did going into the playoffs, we'll reevaluate how we look position against position, say to the Astros and the Blue Jays and maybe some fucking team in the Central. I don't know. But yeah. So that's that. Pat, yo, where can they find you on socials, my friend?
Find me on Twitter @OnHingePatrick and TikTok @OnHingePatrick.
Don't say the fucking Instagram,
bro. Look, I got dust. Is that dust or is that light?
Yo, I saw something. I'll watch it back.
Oh no, I think it's the reflection.
There was like a flake that floated down before while you were talking. I'm not sure if it was like computer dandruff or something. Yeah, maybe. But yo, we're
Twitter and TikTok @OnHingePatrick, and then Instagram @True Hennessy.
Dan Allen Rourke on Twitter. I've been tweeting a little bit. I didn't make no announcement tweet or nothing like that, but I just subtly, I threw a jab at Love You Domingo. But should I say that? Herman took number 0. Not a huge fan. Who cares? Taking 0, man. Not a huge fan of that. I know you say, oh, who says Volpe wants 0? I don't care what Volpe wants. You're wearing 0. You're getting the last single digit available, and you're going to become the second greatest shortstop in Yankee history next to Derek Jeter. All right?
Okay.
You give him 14, bro. That's going to set him on a bad path of drugs and alcohol.
14 is my favorite number, by the way.
14 is not. Yo, if they don't give him 0, 13. I think that's what you initially suggested. I'm down for that.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, if you're not retiring it, like, sure, just give him 13.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely.
It should be retired.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Dan on Rourke on Twitter, Yankees Avenue on Instagram, TikTok, all that BS. Subscribe here on YouTube. We will see you guys next time. Let's go, Yankees. Her body's going like September. She burns through the night like an ember. And all those things we try forgetting, I remember. But we say we